Hello, my name is James D. Taylor, Jr. I am a well-published biographical author and an independent research scholar with a major New York publisher. I undertook the documents of Lady Jane Grey, 9 days Queen of England in 1995, because of my frustration after reading 2 colorful books about Lady Jane Grey, which embellished a few well-known facts and contradicted one another. A recent publication about Lady Jane Grey has a picture of Mary Tudor on the cover. So I realized I needed to provide a single reference for researchers and those curious about this young woman. Curiosity prompted further investigation over the next 7 years, and I reviewed all the available sources of information and literary remains from the period, encountering further inconsistencies. I cannot speak for other writers or authors. That would not be fair, proper, or ethical. My goal was not to discredit other authors, but to provide anyone with an interest in Lady Jane a complete platform to work from to conduct research or satisfy an interest in the rather remarkable young woman. Not as an armchair researcher, which seems to be a common form of research nowadays, but reviewing thousands of feet of microfiche and film, books, journals, and publications, spending hundreds of hours at the University of Michigan Graduate Library and other major university libraries to review rare books. Many still have not been digitized because they are too fragile. Fortunately, 7 years of research produced a couple rewards. Perhaps the most valuable is a letter written by Lady Jane to Queen Mary in August of 1553 and not republished since 1594. Yes, that is correct. Not republished since 1594. The letter was translated from its original 1594 Italian text by Steve Spalding from the University of Michigan. Here is an opening paragraph from the letter. Even if my guilt is such that without the Queen's benignity and clemency, I would have absolutely no hope of finding forgiveness nor asking for remission, I nevertheless place myself in God's hands, as I now know and confess my lack of prudence, for which I deserve a severe punishment. The heartfelt letter is in its entirety in my biography and shows how this young woman was dealing with her impending death as a result not of her own actions, but her father's. The letter is full of deep emotion. I would recommend it be read in its entirety to feel the emotion this young woman felt while facing death. The letter may only exist in this form because it is the only known or existing copy of the original letter written by Jane. I discovered one reference to the letter made by a very early historian. I was lucky, and that is how I discovered this precious gem. It seems to have evaded other authors, writers, and historians who wrote about Lady Jane. Another valuable gem I uncovered is a collection of letters that William Lane purchased from an unidentified source while he was at the Minerva Press, possibly during the years of 1790 or 1791. Though these letters are not dated, I feel confident that I was able to place them within a narrow margin using well-recorded events in history and some of the events indicated in the letters as guidelines. Though I was unable to substantiate the validity of the Lane letters, I was also unable to prove that they were purely fiction. It was my intent to place these letters in an appendix and not the main body of work. My publisher made the decision to place them in the main body. It was my first book, and I decided they knew better. Nevertheless, these interesting letters provide an interesting insight into the turbulent Tudor period of English history. I chose to rewrite the original versions of the letters in this volume to permit the ease of readability. The original letters were written in high Renaissance English and use many archaic words and terms that can be very difficult to read. The letters and documents contained in this volume were compared to the original material when available and best represent the primary material. In the majority of these, the only difference between the original and the edited version is limited to changes to a few words. I have also indicated the primary source for each of the remains, as well as any supporting source or sources if available or known. I have been told that the bibliography is almost as interesting as the book itself. My intent is to provide a complete and accurate study of Lady Jane Grey's short reign through primary and secondary sources, and to stimulate new questions in the mind of readers. My readers have shared their interest with me, and I thank everyone for their wonderful feedback. I am glad that this book is enjoyed and used for reference. Publishers Weekly reviewed the book with this to say: Taylor succeeds in furnishing insights into the remarkable mind of this young 16th century Protestant noblewoman, and serious students of English history will relish the new material offered here. Furthermore, the Detroit Free Press has this to say: Mr. Taylor is an independent scholar who has not compromised traditional research values to provide his readers with thorough, factual, historical accounts, instead of embellishing a few well-known facts, as some modern authors do, as his first publication, The Documents of Lady Jane Grey, show. One last matter is the portrait I often refer to. The portrait is from an original by Hans Holbein, who lived during that period, and is very well noted as a skilled portrait painter of famous individuals from that period. Of course I mention it. It is the best portrait that represents Lady Jane from that period. It is not reproduced, possibly because too few have read the literary remains of Lady Jane Grey, published in 1825. I have seen many portraits of Jane, several in publications, including the one of Mary Tudor on the cover of a book about Lady Jane. Thank you.